So the Women's Assembly is a key meeting point for groups working to build sustainable, gender-responsive and gender-inclusive cities. Now, as we aim to move the growth and development of Malaysia's cities in line with the 2030 agenda, the Assembly also comes at an extremely urgent time as we navigate through the effects of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the pandemic has really acted much like a magnifying glass and amplified some of the gendered impacts already embedded in our society today. And it is at this space that we need to be able to discuss these crucial points that have come to the surface. Now, this year's Women's Assembly will serve as an opportunity to address areas that need further inputs on gender equality and women's empowerment from a collective voice of women stakeholders. And in fact, this participatory consultation is key in improving Malaysia's urbanization strategies, policies, programs, and activities, and your presence here matters. So thank you for spending your Monday morning with us here, well, Monday afternoon, really. We are lucky to have with us a wide array of stakeholders that support and are committed to the sustainable urban agenda. We have representatives from various government agencies and local authorities here, universities and civil society, as well as UN agencies. So from the government, and I'll just list some of our stakeholders here so you know who's in the room. We have government and local authorities. We have a representative, we have the Deputy Chief Statistician, Puan Nazaria, from the Department of Statistics. We have representatives from the Ministry of Women, the Policy Division. We have representatives from Jabatan Pembangunan Wanita, from from Bahagian Dasar, Kementerian Perumahan dan Kerajaan Tempatan, but also from our local municipal councils, from Majlis Perbandaran Subang Jaya. We have representatives from DBKL and from Plan Malaysia. Universities, we have representatives from the Tun Fatimah Hashim Women's Leadership Center from UKM, but also civil society is present in the room. We have reps from the NCWO, which is the National Council for Women's Organizations, from PWDC, Penang's Women Development Corporation, from WAO, the Women's Aid Organization, from Women Girls, and from Engender. And these are just a few of many, but those have been key in supporting the Assembly today. And also from the UN, we have UN Habitat. Puan Sri from UN Habitat is here with us today. So also, thanks to the power of new technology, we even have stakeholders joining us virtually today from Sabah and from Sarawak. We have Purple Lily, who is joining us from Kuching. We have Persatuan Millennial Usahawan Wanita Maju Sabah from Sabah, clearly. And Boleh Space, which is a volunteer organization representing the concerns of persons with disabilities in Malaysia. So, dear all, we have actually quite a big program that's been squeezed into a tiny, small amount of time. So I will move the program along, and as your MC for today, I've been tasked with a difficult job of keeping the agenda on track. So a word of warning that I'll be quite strict with timekeeping today, don't get offended. Bit of housekeeping, if you are so inclined, and on social media, you are pleased to go ahead and tweet or post about the Assembly's proceedings using the hashtag MUF2020 or hashtag Sustainable Urban Nation. So, I'd like to start us off, get the ball rolling by inviting the CEO of Urban East Malaysia, Puan Nurliza Hashim, to the circle to deliver the welcome address. And for those of you who are new to Urban East, which is spearheading this initiative, it is a center of excellence for sustainable cities and community well-being under the auspices of the Ministry of Housing and Local Government. So, without further ado.
Sorry, my CEO is running around, and so she will join us and do her remarks when she gets here. So sorry about that. So we'll move on.
Then we can move the agenda even quicker. So I'd like to invite Datuk Rohana, who's actually right next to me, to settle us into the program with some introductory remarks. Now, Datuk Rohana is on the board of the Penang Women's Development Corporation and has been working actively to improve gender inclusivity in Penang and is an active advocate for gender-responsive participatory budgeting. Datuk Rohana?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So, the Women Stakeholders Lab was a pre-event meeting which followed participatory framework to bring forward issues, barriers to women's full participation in the political, social and economic sphere. That's the first objective. The second one, to review previous Assembly recommendations to expand discourse on gender-responsive urbanization. And then the third one, which is really important for today, to make recommendations for plan of action. So it was held as a virtual meeting, and 40 participants representing 20 organizations participated in the meeting. We were categorized into 2 breakout groups, and then we look at the current issues, we outline main issues, and then find common ground between various organizations, various women organizations. So then each group then shared their outcome, and then we together collectively identified the recommendations under 4 clusters: social, political, infrastructure, and economy. Right. So the 2 issues on the 2 issues under social is gender stereotyping, right, and gender-based violence. There is continuous perpetuation of women's traditional roles despite changing environments. So I'm sharing you now the thinking behind this. How did the issue come out, and then the action? So the lab recommended 3 plans of action. 1, gender equality education should start from home and in school. So families practicing the principles of equality at home, and the principles of equality is then reinforced in school and further into the workplace, will form a new culture of gender equality. So first, education. So the lab recommends the gender equality education from an early age. The second one, accessibility and affordability of care facilities to enable women to enter, re-enter, and also stay in their career. So the lab recommends improved access to affordable care facilities. The third is that this action brings about, so promote shared responsibility amongst family members, because this action brings about a collective responsibility on child, elderly care and housework. On gender-based violence, I think everyone have read in the papers, increased during the lockdown because the victims are together, the survivors are locked together with their perpetrators. So allocate budget towards crisis centers, empower survivors of GBV by providing safe housing, counseling and skills that create independence while building community engagement and advocating for social change to stop violence. So the lab recommends do the immediate action, spend the money, create first a safe place for them, and then build community engagement and advocate for social change to stop violence. Next please, thank you. Under the political cluster, 3 issues were identified. 2 has to do with budget not allocated based on gender needs. So different people, different needs. Planners and policymakers must be aware and understand how budgets and policies affect people differently. The different needs of different people. So we said, kelompok berlainan, keperluan berbeza, must be incorporated in the design, planning, and implementation of programs. The lab recommends gender-responsive and participatory budgeting at local government, state, and federal level. The next important part when it comes to making sure that where the money is spent is where it's needed is the lack of transparency on use of public resources. Use sex disaggregated data as the tool for data collection and gender analysis. You know why? Because SDD improves transparency by making the budget more understandable by everyone. So if we understand where the money is going to, we'll be able to participate, and cause a difference in the outcome of where budget is being spent. Now, important part in politics, in the political sphere, is women not represented at executive and legislative level decisions. The lack of representation at executive and legislative level, where policies are crafted, very, very important because the policy drives the money, where policies are crafted and adopted and money allocated to implement the policies reduces the political will to address imbalances in women's participation in the political, social, and economic sphere. Therefore, the lab recommend a very specific advocate for 30% women's representation at executive and legislative level. In the physical structure sphere, one issue was brought up, lack of gender perspective in design and development of cities. Women and men experience life in cities and public places differently. So integrate diverse experiences and needs of women and men into urban planning and design. Involve girls and women in the development of plans. A safe and gender-responsive cities would require girls and women's perspective with regard to what is safe and what is gender-responsive city. So the lab recommends develop safe and gender-responsive cities as well as women participation of all ages in development plans. Involve them. Economy, two issues. We say that first issue, women in low-cost housing and stay-home moms. Stay-home moms want to be involved in income-generating activities. Lack involvement in these activities. So, empower women to become agents of change for their communities. When we advocate, we have to empower. So empower the women. Women in low-cost housing wants to be involved in income-generating ventures. They need role models. They need leaders, they need skills and financing. From experience and research, what I've shown is that each residential area, this is very important, this is not, the intersectionality of women and girls must be recognized when we do this. So experience and research have shown that each residential area has their particular challenges, so support the women within their lived realities. The lab recommends empower PPR women, community leaders, and mompreneurs. So the last point is that girls are brought up with a mindset to care for others and less about being independent. So the focus now is on girls. How do you get the mindset to be independent? Begin the empowerment process when they are young. Nurture girls to have a mindset of being independent. Focus on employability and entrepreneurship. Capacity building and upskilling for women and girls was the lab's recommendation. So the Women's Assembly is a continuation of the Women's Stakeholders Lab to gain commitment to the action plans. Thank you.
Dato' Rana, that was right on time. I was just about to scribble on a note time, but yes, perfect timing. So I'm going to rush this along quickly because our next speaker actually has notified me that she needs to leave in about 10 minutes for a different event. So I'm just going to rush this along. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the Mayor of Subanjaya, Puan Haja Nuraini binti Roslan. Subanjaya, of course, has been one of the front runners in developing a women-friendly green city blueprint. And she has kindly agreed to share with us Subanjaya's experiences in moving towards becoming the first women-friendly city in Malaysia.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. We see that majority of the participants in this room are ladies. So when in school, I came from a town planning school. We were never taught that when you cater for everybody, you cater for women. But since I became the young deporteur, and since well, it was not without any purpose. I mean, my appointment as the first young deporteur in Selangor, as the first lady young deporteur in Selangor, is it's not coincidental because I mean the government has been pushed to put more women in leadership roles. So in 2011, I was appointed as the first women YDP in Selangor. It came to my mind that I need to change my perspective. If I cater for women, that means I cater for everybody. And that changed quite a lot of things as far as action is concerned. Then came this new urban agenda of leaving no one behind. That's another philosophy that if you cater for the least able, then you cater for everybody. So what do I do now that I have become the mayor, the Yang di Pertua? Is there anything different that can be done in running the city so that there's women's need and the less able's need can be catered better? What do I know about what women's need? Even though you're a woman, it's not necessarily that you really are in tune with what was identified in the lab before, because we may come from a different background. I mean, not all of us are fortunate enough to have the education from the very early childhood. Not all of us have the opportunity to study to the higher education level, to go abroad, and to become the decision makers. But how do we listen to them? Here, Puan Eliza is here, but you need to wait until after I'm finished because I need to rush off. But where do we hear from the women themselves? So in Subang Jaya, I became the YDP in January 2018. Maybe now we can use my slide if it's given to the organizers. I started to talk and consult with a few NGOs, the leaders there, and what do we need to do? So in May of 2018, we started a lab calling for women leaders, women associations, and whoever that we thought are the stakeholders in this forming of women agenda in the city development to a lab. And surprisingly enough, that the majority of the requirements and the needs that have been identified are not that dissimilar from what the majority needs. So one thing is clear, that if we listen to the women, we take care of everybody. The other thing is that in planning and architecture, we have this thing that is called universal design. Taking care of that universal need will majority takes care of the need of the women as well. Is my slide there? It has some pictures. I mean, other than that, I can just refer to my notes. The product of that lab is this Plan Tindakan Bandar Mesra Wanita for 2019 to 2021. We purposely do a 3-year plan. And what is in there? From the wish list that we hear from the women in that lab, there are requirements for first and foremost the identified gaya hidup sehat, because it involves their daily living. From the moment they wake up, taking care of the family, it's about themselves. Where do they go for recreation, for exercise? So the facilities that are close to them need to be really made accessible to women. And what does being accessible to women means? Women don't go by themselves. They have to carry the babies, they have to carry the whoever that they're taking care of, maybe the elderly, their mothers, their parents. Women takes care of everybody. I mean, which household do you live in that, which of your household that the man prepare the breakfast every day? Ada? Tak ada? So kita jugalah yang buat. Tu your lucky one. So satu orang je daripada berapa 50 orang dekat sini. So daripada bangun pagi kena fikir everybody. Balik lepas tu pergi kerja pula. Fikir pasal kerja, you have to be professional, you have to be forward thinking, you have to be gender unbiased. Yang paling susah sekali kena control emotion, sebab kita kata women leaders or women ni terlampau emotional dalam membuat keputusan ataupun in reacting to any whatever incidents dekat office ke apalah. Okay, so balik tu kena pula jaga rumah balik semula kan, before we can really take care of ourselves. So what are the things that women need in order to be better, to be healthier? So diorang identify kemudahan awam, taman yang memang boleh masuk, boleh sorong stroller anak-anak. Ada juga lah yang mention kalau kita punya pavement tu, kalau guna cobblestone ataupun guna apa ni, interlocking pavers, kadang-kadang kasut tumit dia tersekat dekat dalam tu. Lepas tu bila orang lelaki dengar, kata lah, siapa suruh pakai kasut tumit tinggi, dia kata. So salah sajalah kalau kita ni. But women are women now. We are created beautiful, so we are vain, so what? Okay. Perkara-perkara yang dulu kita pandang remeh lah, macam kereta sorong anak-anak. Minggu lepas saya lancarkan program bandar bebas halangan untuk the disabled. We spend 1.2 million in 4 location in MPCSJ untuk buat bandar bebas halangan. You know the drill lah, kita buat audit sebelum tu, lepas tu kita buat laluan dia mana. Bila kita tengok grill yang tutup manhole tu, dulu kalau dekat ladang kita panggil cattle trap. Cattle trap tu memang dibuat menegak supaya lembu tu terperangkap dekat dalam trap tu. Tapi bila dah design untuk manusia, pasang je lah melentang benda tu supaya kerusi roda tak tersekat dia punya roda dia macam tu. Itu pun nak kena ajar. Rupa-rupanya budak engineering ni dia tak ubah daripada dulu sampai sekarang. Dia pasang macam tu juga. So dia kata, lepas pada di screw pula tu. So kita kena minta balik, unscrew balik, terbalikkan so that kerusi roda tu. Sekarang kerusi roda, dia punya roda tu makin nipis kan. And that grill tu, dia punya lubang dia tu agak ni lah. And then the blind also, dia kata, puan kalau ni lubang dia macam ini, nanti kita terperangkap ni. So pada dia better kita cover semua dengan apa ni. Kemudian even a gap that is only a few inches high will cause problems to the blind, because dia kata kalau tongkat dia tu tak dapat nak bezakan antara that height tu, dia akan terlanggar gitu. Especially kalau tembok dekat tepi longkang, dia kata yang itu tu sangat bahaya. So when we have them auditing our product, memang banyak lagi yang nak kena baiki. Dan kami pun dapat satu kumpulan orang-orang yang kurang upaya ni, dia memang mobile. Dia guna dia punya kerusi roda yang ada battery operated tu, dia bawa, dia naik rumah dia dekat KL dengan dekat PJ. Tapi dia naik LRT, dia turun, and one of the special place yang dia suka dekat USJ Taipan tu, sebab dekat situ ada kawan-kawan dia, ada yang blind bukat rumah urut, dan ada group dia yang selalu minum kopi dekat situ. So I have to make sure daripada stesen Taipan tu, dia punya laluan tu seamless lah. Tapi perkataan seamless ni pun macam satu cita-cita yang nak buat, bukannya benda senang lah. Pada kita nampak macam dah okey je, tapi bila dia test, dia punya RAM tu, even old standard 1 to 10, sekarang ni dah tak cukup bagus, dia nak 1 to 12. So sebab dia punya tu lah, mana yang battery operated is okay, tapi mana yang hand operated tu, dia jadi lagi susah. So balik kepada women ni, what do they need? Kalau mana-mana yang tak kerja dekat rumah selepas hantar everybody, dia nak keluar juga, nak exercise, nak ni. Daripada rumah ke taman permainan. Takkanlah sentiasa nak bawa kereta je. We said we are going greener kan, kalau boleh. Keadaan jalan dah selamat, bolehlah tolak pram ataupun bawa the elderly parents untuk pergi. I found that dekat Subang Jaya pun, I think almost 90% daripada perjalanan itu tidak lagi friendly. Tetapi kemudahan dia ada untuk wanita, mana-mana keperluan yang berbeza daripada lelaki. Sebab dulu kita bila design taman permainan, kita ada alat permainan kanak-kanak. Kemudian datang pula musim buat buat reflexology untuk orang tua. Lepas pada itu salah pula letak batu terlampau tajam. Sekarang kena flatten lah pula. Dia macam-macam ilmu lah. Kita ni pun bukannya pandai terus kan. Buat macam ni, lepas tu tak betul, okey buat lagi. But we keep improving. So yang perempuan nak apa? Okay, kalau kita sendiri pergi taman, kita exercise macam mana? Takkanlah asyik main netball daripada sekolah sampai tua nak main netball, tak ada kan? Sekarang ni kalau wanita-wanita di Subang Jaya, dia nak kena ada satu court yang orang budak-budak muda nanti petang dia main sepak takraw ke, tapi dia nak line dancing. So that's among the popular thing. Tai chi yang tu popular juga. Lepas pada tu bila weekend, Puan Liza ikut lagi ke tidak Zumba kita dengan aerobik dekat arena tu lah. So we have to provide teachers untuk mengajar tu. Lain-lain kemudahan awam dan infrastruktur yang diperlukan oleh wanita. Kalau kita pergi kepada universal design tu, sampai kepada saiz toilet yang berbeza. Sebab kita ni datang dengan baggage kita, beg tangan kita je, orang lelaki tak bawa beg tangan besar macam kita tu. So nak letak dekat mana, kalau kita pergi dekat Jepun, semua tempat ni is well thought of. Even tempat nak letak tongkat ada, tempat nak letak baby ada. Tapi di Malaysia nak sampai ke peringkat macam tu jauh. And since 2018, walaupun I allocate that budget every year untuk improve that kind of facilities, I think we are still far from what we are apa ni lah. Dan cerita pasal budget, nanti tadi Datuk sebut pasal woman friendly budgeting, macam mana kita buat. Tadi dah pergi lab, buat wish list. Nanti selalu bila ada community punya engagement, kita pergi turun ke bawah, kita ni tanya lagi, asyik isi wish list je, bila nak dapat wishnya puan. Tapi bila kita bercerita tentang keuangan, berapa tahun dah kita punya cukai tak naik? 20 tahun. Kalau nasi lemak dulu harga 50 sen, sekarang dah harga berapa? Dekat Johor ada nasi lemak dengan lobster lagi. But the unwillingness of people untuk membayar cukai yang lebih untuk kemudahan yang berbeza sangat menakjubkan dekat Malaysia ni. Bayar lebih sikit parking, kita kata kita nak greener, tapi parking nak 50 sen. Mestilah orang bawa kereta kan? Macam mana nak bezakan antara long term parking dengan short term parking? Kalau boleh long term parking, parking lah dekat tempat letak kereta bertingkat tu, biar murah sikit. Yang dekat depan kedai biar mahal sikit. Oh, tak lulus. Bila bawa cadangan dia tak lulus. So, bila bawa cadangan untuk meningkatkan cukai, we have to do it. Satu hari nanti kita kena buat. Cuma kita cubalah tailor peningkatan tu tak terlampau tinggi. Secara beransur-ansur mungkin 15%, 20%. Sebab kos untuk menyediakan kemudahan memang meningkat tiap-tiap tahun. Gaji pencawat awam je naik 5% tiap-tiap tahun. Bil elektrik berapa kali dah naik? Kita bayar bil elektrik, majlis punya peruntukan bayar bil elektrik. Bila peruntukan ini digunakan untuk perbelanjaan mengurus, makin lama makin banyak, makin lama makin banyak. Last year I ended up with only 5% for development purposes. So macam mana nak cukup benda-benda ni? Kalau dalam Puan Sharifah Muazzah ada dekat sini, KPKT nak bagi banyak mana, kita ada 159 PBT. Lepas tu selalu kata Subang Jaya kaya, memang tak dapat duit lah bagi dekat PBT yang lagi miskin lagi. So we ended up with the same thing. Besar dia punya hasil, besar kerak dia, dan penduduk-penduduk di Subang Jaya ni dia sangat prihatin lah. Dia tak boleh ada benda silap sikit. Saya baru dapat surat lawyer, 7 muka surat yang cite penal code dan semua undang-undang yang ada dekat Malaysia ni, sebab permohonan dia nak minta lampu trafik tak dapat. So saya dapatlah 7 muka surat-surat lawyer ni. Kata kalau saya baca ni, saya kena bawa pergi mahkamah ni, salah. Because a public servant cannot in any ways cause probable injury tu. Apalah dia punya ayat-ayat dia tu. Itu satu orang minta satu traffic light tak dapat. Yang lain-lain tu ada juga yang komplain pasal kita punya timer lampu terlebih 1 jam. Saya ingat apalah dia punya tu, berdebar juga dapat aduan daripada kawan sekolah lama kan. Pergi post dekat group college, timer kita lari 1 jam. Okey lah. So that kind of people you have to deal with in Subang Jaya. Pada masa yang sama, ni lampu malam-malam ni, lampu jalan. Timernya terlebih, instead of mati pukul 7.30, dia mati pukul 8.30. Salah besar tu kalau di Subang Jaya. Okey. Kita pergi dekat ni, kita kata okeylah, yang dah berada ni dia dah they can take care of themselves. If we have limited resources, who do we help first? So sejak daripada tahun 2018 saya mulakan satu program untuk membantu B40. Sebab pada saya dekat sini saya akan jumpa wanita-wanita yang memerlukan. Jadi pada 2018 ni bila kita nak mula, ahli-ahli majlis saya takut. Sebab dia kata, puan, mana kita ada peruntukan? Sebab bila pergi rumah low cost ni, mesti diorang minta macam-macam. Tak nak pergilah puan, nanti buat orang marah aja. Ada banyak permintaan, but you cannot cater for that needs. Tapi saya kata, tak apa, kita cuba dengan 2 dulu, kita pergi, kita tanya je dulu. Sebenarnya matlamat saya, daripada 122 projek rumah low cost, lebih kurang ada 30,000 rumah dekat situ, nak dapatkan berapa persen tu, sebab pada waktu saya datang ada 40 rumah lagi yang tak ada langsung, GMB pun tak ada, Joint Management Body pun tak ada, especially among the low cost, because the collection of management fee is so low that nobody wants to become president. Tapi kalau bila dah kutip duit banyak, then mind you, satu perkara yang saya jumpa, bila rumah-rumah low cost yang tak ada duit ni, selalunya yang jadi presiden perempuan, yang jadi usaha perempuan, yang jadi AJK semua perempuan. Sebab inilah mak sanggup yang boleh kerja, tak ada apa-apa imbuhan pun. Tapi bila dah ada duit, orang lelaki datang nak elect themselves jadi presiden. I'm sorry guys, but this is real. Ini cerita sebenar. Bila kita dah turun kita tahu. Okay? Kemudian baru-baru ni UNICEF ada data kan, sebabkan COVID, rumah-rumah yang paling terkesan adalah mereka-mereka yang diketuai oleh wanita dan juga kanak-kanak kerana kekurangan makanan. That study was done in KL. Tapi kita ada UKM yang bantu kita dalam salah satu pilot project itu. Kita buat 2 di Pangsepuri Enggang, di Kinrara, dan juga Pangsepuri Bukit Puchong, dekat Puchong. Apa masalah-masalah dekat situ? Kita dapatlah data-data berapa women household. Kalau men's household ni bila dia sebagai ni, dia keluar mencari pendapatan, kita tak berapa risau sangat. Tetapi kalau women, kebanyakannya bila kita tanya, dia kata tak boleh nak keluar pun sebab ada anak kecil nak jaga apa semua. So kita kata boleh tak buat satu produk yang boleh duduk rumah je, nanti kita tolong pasarkan. So daripada beberapa ni ada yang dah jual jadi tauke goreng, bawang goreng dalam botol, ada tauke peria goreng, ada those products yang kita boleh tolong marketkan, dan kita kena create satu platform untuk mereka untuk marketkan this product. Dan dekat satu lagi Pangsepuri Sri Tanjung, yang ini memang dah berjaya, kita buat weekend market yang orang situ dijual dekat situ saja. Dia tak payah pergi jauh-jauh, so dia tak payah risau anak dia nak kena letak dekat mana. And most of these are women. Dia pandailah buat aiskrim Malaysia, kan ada yang panjang. Dia buat jelly, dia buat benda-benda yang dia biasa buat dekat rumah. So bila dia ada means of income, sekarang ni kita create dia punya tu, ada yang dah pendapatan dia naik 2,000, 3,000. I'm yet to collect the data. Yang mana yang UKM dah collect data dekat Enggang, projek menanam dia orang ni ada tu. Tapi cabaran dia nak pergi kat situ, mula-mula dia bergaduh antara blok tu, masing-masing punya kepala dia punya bergaduh, dia tu tak boleh tahan. Lepas pada tu bila kita pergi, rupanya merajuk pula pergi blok ni je. Oh yang ini hidang vade, yang ini hidang cekodok, yang ini hidang ni, nak kena round semua. Saya kata lama saya tak larat lah nak pergi selalu ni. Okay, but these are the macam tadi Cik Jeffrey Pang ada sebutkan tentang grassroots, the politics of community. Itu pun kita nak kena faham. Coming back to the women, if we help the women household, yang ni biasanya yang paling ke bawah dalam bottom 10 kita, bottom 5 ke, if we can help them, we help the whole rumah. Anak-anak dia macam mana semualah. Okay, so tadi physical infrastructure-nya, strategi nombor 1, keduanya social, ketiganya ekonomi, dan saya kena baca buku balik. Political diorang tak tanya sangat. Sebab macam saya sebut tadi, bila kita tanya kepada yang low income earners ni, memang automatic leaders dia perempuan. Tapi bila yang high end tu, bila rumah pangsa yang bayar dia punya MC tu mahal, lelaki semualah dia punya AJK dia. Gaya hidup sihat, bandar selamat, prasarana, peningkatan sosioekonomi. Itu 4 strategi yang saya gariskan di dalam buku ini. Dan saya rasa untuk replicability pada lain-lain bandar, perkara ni tak susah. We do what we can, but we must ask first and we must have a plan. Itu pesan saya kepada bandar-bandar yang lain. I don't know what my timing. Okay, saya rasa dah terlebih dah time. Dah mungkin cerita panjang lagi, seronok. I have to give back to the moderator and I have to run to another program. So terima kasih banyak-banyak.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was so interesting. I feel like we were all super absorbed, macam nak dengar je lagi cerita kan. But we are a little bit over time, which means I'm going to rush this along again. And we have our next speakers up from Women's Aid Organization. Li Yuan, you're there. So the COVID-19 pandemic saw deep-rooted inequalities that have existed in our society dredged up to the fore, including a rise in domestic violence and gender-based violence, as well as, and I think our previous speaker just mentioned this as well, that there's increasingly evident burden of care that women shoulder disproportionately. So, and I think that became extremely clear during the pandemic. And without further ado, I will hand it over to Li Yuan from WAO to speak on this.
Yes, hi, thank you. I don't know which mic to use actually. Which one you can? Okay, you can call me Jen actually. Yeah, I have my slides actually. Could you help to put it up, please? So I'm from the Women's Aid Organization. So just to let you know, I just joined them a couple of weeks back, but I have a background in research, so I don't have any business card with me yet and that such, but I'll be more than happy to get in touch with you. If you take my photo, please send to me. I'll be very happy also, that kind of stuff. So actually what I want to present, the WAO Women's Aid Organization, because we do mainly cater We also do other things such as advocacy, but we do mainly cater for violence, domestic violence, and those kind of things. So we actually have some proposals for what we want the national budget to include for 2021. Yeah, so just waiting for the slides, don't worry. So there'll be two main points. The first main point for our budget 2021 proposal to close the gender gap, the first point that we have is to strengthen access to law enforcement and crisis support services for gender-based violence survivors. And the second point that we have is safeguarding women's employment after the pandemic. Oh, sorry, thank you. Yeah, because it's exactly like what the mayor said just now, because the pandemic really magnified the loss of jobs, because even before the pandemic, women were mostly doing care work and unpaid care work, and the pandemic really magnified the whole thing. Like when they ask why there's this issue. For more information on the gender pay gap, because there was International Pay Day a couple of weeks back, I gave an interview on BFM, and so if you Google BFM, mind the gender pay gap, there's some more detailed information I have on there as well, so you can also look at that. So what I mean by access to law enforcement, because we found that in April of this year, oh yes, finally, thank you. So I'm just going to go along. So I have a clicker here. Yes. Oh yes, could you scroll down? So I think we'll skip this because we all know this, right? So could we go to the next one? Next. Yeah. Keep going. Thank you. Keep going. So I already mentioned this first point and second point, and access to law enforcement. If we go down, okay, for this one, right, we actually found that during the MCO, the number of distress calls really spiked in April, May, June onwards, because obviously during the MCO, those families, they are stuck at home. They can't even leave the house. If you leave the house, the police would come to you and tell you to go home. So there was no escape from perpetrators during that time. And also because of the sudden announcement at the time for the MCO, a lot of NGOs really didn't know what to do, because there were also other NGOs that specialize in giving food to the poor, and they were not allowed to really go out, and so there was a little bit of confusion there. So if we could move on to the next slide. Our social support services are actually not adequate. If you compare to other countries, right, you can see that the ratio for Malaysia is pretty unfortunate. It's one social worker to 8,756 people. So it is quite a scary situation. So that's why we are hoping that the government will add more social workers. So the next slide, please. And actually our shelters are also not really enough. Because the international minimum standards is like one family place per 10,000 people, but Malaysia has one family place per 70,000 people. And I also checked with my colleagues, like the entire Malaysia, if you're looking at safe houses, including by gazetted NGOs, it's only 43 for the entire Malaysia. So it is actually quite shocking. And the cost, okay, GBV stands for gender-based violence. The cost to the economy is actually quite high. This is some of the findings by the European Institute for Gender Equality. So so it's actually like, if you want to take a very selfish stance and you're like, why should I care about this? Well, it takes a toll on the economy, and that's why it's important to us. So can we go to the next slide? So these are the what we propose that they should add to the national budget. For example, 50 million to improve and increase shelter capacity. Because, okay, it's probably going to cost a lot to build a new shelter. So our vision in mind is to actually improve the capacity for the existing shelters, because obviously 43 shelters, and with the stats that you saw just now, it's really not enough. So we hope that with 50 million we can also strengthen all the elements that help towards this. And the second is 30 million for an interagency fund to train first responders, including police, medical and welfare officers for GBV survivors. Because, for example, sometimes that, because victims of GBV, obviously they're traumatized and they need to be approached a certain way, and maybe certain police members, especially men, they are not equipped or trained to handle such situations. So this is for the second point. The third point is to devote 5 million to operate and improve the hotlines, because actually there are a number of hotlines in Malaysia, but the famous ones are by WAO, Awam, and Talian Kasih. So the final one for this point is to make available a separate annual fund, which is 20 million to combat GBV in the future, and for crisis management. For example, just overall increasing the capacity to handle gender-based violence. So we can move on to the next slide. So safeguarding women's employment after the pandemic, if we could, move down a little bit. So we found that although historically female unemployment has been higher, but as many people also say, the pandemic really magnified that, because women, when women get married and we have children, and or you have elderly parents, it's always the women who takes up the role to care for them. And when you do that, you have a tendency to drop out of your work. And when you drop out of your work, you're doing unpaid care work. And especially when you go and apply for a job after that, the prospective employer is like, why is there a gap in your resume? And it's become a sort of reason for them to negotiate down your pay, or to pick someone else over you, or even though there's supposed to be anti-discriminatory laws for employment, it still happens a lot. So it's a very unfortunate situation. If we could go on to the next slide. So an unprecedented number of individuals, they cite family responsibilities for leaving their jobs, which, as we can see, 2020 March, prime age adults leaving the labor force, it was a big drop. Okay, so we could move on to the next slide. And it's also quite funny, the mayor just now, she mentioned about people not willing to pay taxes to help these people a bit. And when they mention, government is giving you tax exemption, but B40 families are not even taxable. So in this aspect, it doesn't really help people who need it. So if we could see here the figures of household by income earners, percentage of households by number of income earners. Yeah, B40. So female head, most of them are still female-headed. Still male-headed, but still, if you can see the B40, there's about 20% which are female-headed. So we have to take into consideration what kind of difficulties that they have. Could go down to the next slide. Okay. So these are what WAO is championing for, carry out amendments to the Employment Act to eliminate discrimination against employees and job seekers, because current laws actually do not protect job seekers against discrimination. So it's a little bit difficult. If you are already an employee, you have a certain level of protection, but not for job seekers. And second is protecting workers' rights to work flexible hour arrangements. And we also are asking for the increase of maternity leave, and we are asking for 7 days of paternity leave, because we want to give the message that childcare is responsibility of both men and women, and not just women alone. And so for number 6 is to increase public investment in the care economy. ECC stands for Early Childhood Care, and to increase public provision for this. And number 7, institute means-based ECCE consumer subsidies. This to relieve the cost, because obviously B40 families, and we know that childcare is quite expensive. If you get a childcare that is very, very low in price, we would start getting suspicious in the back of our minds. There are obviously reasons behind this. And and number 8, to prioritize lifelong learning programs for women after their career break, because sometimes after taking care of children, let's say for 10 years, and then let's say even if you leave the labor force for 5 years, everything is changed. Your handphone you change every year, your laptop you change every other year, and it's very difficult for you to come back to work and use a Microsoft Word 2010 software, for example. Everyone would just look at you like, what are you doing? It's that kind of thing that goes on. So obviously women who go back to work, they need some kind of support. And actually, yes, I'm done. So if we go down to the next slide, these are just the citations that we had for our research. So thank you very much. I'm contactable. My email is jan@wao.org.my, so you can reach me there, or you can come and talk to me after this. I'll be more than happy.
Thank you, Jen. That was an incredibly rich presentation. If you could share your slides with us, that would be fantastic. Just quickly, a quick shout out to Urbanist CEO, Puan Liza, who's in the room. Before we go into the roundtable discussion, I just wanted to give you a shout out and a chance to say hello to everyone.
Yeah, okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon to everyone. Okay. Okay. Maybe I should just. Okay. Sorry. First and foremost, sorry for being late. Okay. I think I better sit down because everyone's sitting down. So I just want to say that the minister apologized for not joining us. She's really not well. She was yesterday. She thought she was not coming, but she managed to do the opening. She's just having a bad cough lah. She did a swab test twice, so don't worry, she's negative. But it's just that she feels that she needs to go back and rest, and she's joining us tomorrow. So anyway, I first and foremost, I think when I came into the room, I felt that every time I go into a women's discussion room, it always feels nice and warm, and energy is really great. So yeah, I felt the same thing when I came in, and I said, wow, okay, the women are doing a great job. So that's definitely great. So I want to say thank you very much to all our partners. Dato', you've been with us since last year. Dato' Rowana also, Prof. So it's been really great to see not only our stakeholders from last year's move, but also this year we have more. Yes, and gender is here, and really great to have new groups, because I think the idea behind the Women Assembly is actually to increase our stakeholders as we go along. But we want to focus on really having a common ground. So I looked through the notes Yasmin shared with me on the labs and all that, and I think we already have something there. I don't think we should wait again, I think this time around we should do something. And when Minister asked me why she have to be here this afternoon, I told her that you all are ready to share with her, some kind of a preliminary proposal. And she said, why wait? Just go ahead. So, and I told her about the GPRB, and she's also very supportive. And I think we heard from Mayor just now. I think these are things that's already been done, and we can actually roll it out. So I think the quick wins, we rolled it out. And then the new ones, we see how we can sort of build it in. So I'm really hoping that at the end of this, it can never be done in 2 hours, but I want to congratulate you. You've been very committed to all the Zoom meetings and all. So I think we should continue this discussion, Don't stop, and let's move. My objective for MUF2020 is to come up with some position papers, either to be sent to the ministry itself or to be sent to other ministries. I did discuss with my group that not everything the Ministry of Housing and Local Government can help to do, because we have our set of, the departments and all. That Dr. Siti is here. She speaks more for the ministry actually. But I think how I see it as an urbanist, as a COE, we look at the opportunity to how to work with ministry and also with other ministries. But let's focus on what KPKT can do within KPKT first, and then sort of see how KPKT should work with other ministries. If not, I don't think we can solve anything, and that should be our approach. So I'm really hoping that we can come up with some kind of an action paper, like a position paper, so that I saw the long list, so I was thinking that some of it could be put together, and we put it on headings, and we decide which are our priority lists. So I won't take much of your time. I know, Suri, you're running out of time, but at least that's how I think we should move forward on this, because we don't want to come again and we'll be asking you the same question again, and I think if I do it again next year, nobody will come. So I'm also mindful that this process needs to have results, because if the process doesn't have results, we also we get discouraged, So yeah, so I think that's from me, and I want to thank everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. However, I want to flag with everyone that we're running a bit late, so we might have to crunch up the feedback session, the roundtable feedback session. And does everybody mind, because the session's actually quite short, does everybody mind if we cancel break? Yeah, because break is at 5 minutes anyway, so we're good. We can eat into break time, and then go into the closing after that. So from now until 3:10, we've got time for the feedback. Does that work, Ngayun? I know you're moderating this roundtable session. Okay, so now that we've gone through our whirlwind of speakers who have each kind of highlighted the issues that we'll be considering during the feedback roundtable session, I will hand it over to actually Prof. Datuk Rashila from NCWO, who will be helping us facilitate the session, Prof. Datin Norizan from UKM, and of course Ngayun and her team from Women Girls. Silakan, take the floor, please.
Thank you, Suri, for being so efficient. So we will pass that mic. Does that mic work with Prof? Yes. So Prof is going to give us a context. We will flash up the slide that was presented earlier by Datuk Rohana. What we are specifically looking for would be the lead organization as well as the proposed lead agencies. So that's what we're looking for. But right now, a context from Prof.
Yeah, I think if some of you attended MUF last year, we already we spoke about some of these issues, and we actually split it up into 4 categories. Yeah, social, political, physical, infrastructure, and economy. And we really want to still follow through this particular structure. Now, these recommendations were actually already discussed earlier, and Datuk Rohana has already run through this with us, but I need you to kind of, focus a bit more into them, because there are other things that you can do. A couple of things. You can make it even more specific, in any of the 8 recommendations up here, possible action that can be taken. And at the same time, if you think that the organizations that you are working with are already involved in this, it's not a matter of taking the lead at this point, it's just to indicate your interest, okay? Because chances are you may go back to your organization and discuss a bit more. But if you think you're gung-ho enough and you can really say, yeah, our organization can do this, and say it out, then we'll be very happy to work with you on this matter. So I know that some of us are from organizations, some of us are also from government agencies and so on, maybe also from the different universities. So my sense is that in all the 4 categories, I think we open it up first. There are 2 options. We can actually, one, to either do it, go category by category. That might be easier because of the time factor. And in each category, the idea is, there's anything you would like to add to it. And then if there are any organizations that would like to indicate their interest. And if we have, since we do have government agencies here, if there are government agencies doing some work related to those particular actions. So can we put back those 4, okay. I think I'm supposed to take 2, okay. Under the political. So I think first of all, let's just get some comments on all these different, because you are seeing it for the first time. We've been seeing it a few times. Okay? So Dato' Siti, is it?
Yeah. Dr. Siti.
Dr. Siti, please.
Perhaps if you can look at the slide and you tell us a little bit about what the agency or what KPKT has already been doing, and then let us know which one is very aligned ataupun belum ter-align, ataupun kita boleh align lagi, benda-benda macam tu. Then it will make it a lot easier for the NGOs to then participate properly and support and lead, perhaps. Doctor.
Okay, thank you, Yuan. All right, well, this is my first time seeing this, and I'm fully involved. Actually, my background is also on women, but I'm only with this group for the first time, but I was in
That's
Abu
fine.
Dhabi.
That's fine, Dr.
Okay. All right. Looking at the gender stereotyping, when we look at the social and the explanation is on gender equality education, definitely this will fall under Kementerian Pengajian Tinggi and Kementerian Pendidikan.
Okay,
We
so
do-
Mohe,
MOHE and
And-
KPT,
yeah.
Kementerian Pengajian Tinggi, and these two ministries are,
Bahasa
they can work
Pendidikan.
together. And then improve access to affordable, accessible and good quality care facilities. This will definitely go under Kementerian Wanita, but working together closely with KPKT, because KPKT has a jawatan kuasa khas for warga emas lah, which also will include in OKUs as well as wanita lah.
Okay.
So
So
we are
two
talking
two different ministries right there, yeah?
it should come. We should work as in like a jawatan kuasa kind of.
Okay. Maybe we can put a note there, you know. KPKT plus KPWKM through a committee. Maybe put a note committee just to remind us.
I may put in some more, but at the moment that it's coming across my mind. And for promoting shared responsibility amongst family members, definitely this like Jabatan Kementerian Perpaduan under Datuk Wan Seraya, as well as KPWKM, of course, Kementerian Wanita, yeah? And then what's next, yeah? My officers, if in any case I have forgotten for gender ni wanita lah, okay? Wanita, which will like definitely fall under JKM.
And maybe just to add to the discussion, under Kementerian Dalam Negeri.
Okay, yes.
Because
Kementerian
shelter
Dalam Negeri,
homes and
because
so
ada
on, they
polis
can,
dan
yes, the
sebagainya.
police, I think
Okay,
that might
yes.
help there as well.
In fact, bukan sahaja polis. I'm looking into even penjara. We haven't explored the people in the penjara very kind of kesian lah, because we have women offenders inside there. Nobody actually fight for them. Perhaps there, dekat situ banyak domestic violence due to drug addiction, which is actually my area, so I'm putting it here. Okay, let us go to the budget not based on gender needs. Generally I can say at the bigger picture, when you look at crafting the national document, we have put in the SDG as the payung lah. But then again, having to put budget base, okay, for women, look, it's rather not practical. But for the ministry, whoever that bid for the budget, they need to actually allocate accordingly for whatever programs that they have for women, for instance, or for the specific target group. So for this one, actually, it goes to
that's the government. State
So
government can have it.
Yes. I'm talking for the part of federal government, because for the state ni dia usually they punya budget limited, but if like just now Puan Haja Noraini, she has all her power to impose berapa banyak dia nak allocate, so it's all up to them. But again, in terms of PBT ni, kita boleh get KPKT can get the PBT to do some thinking and actions in terms of giving focus to women when they have to comply with our indicators. These indicators sedang dibangunkan, so perhaps there will be some penilah sentuhan. I mean, like what you call it, catalyzer, I can say, see?
Yeah.
Okay. KPKT pun boleh di
Can act as
situ.
a catalyst for that. Okay, all right.
And then number 4, lack of transparency on use of public resources.
need
Lack of
our
transparency on use of public resources. Use accessible data as a
Data
tool for-
collection. I think our
This is universities lah, I suppose, kan?
universities and DOS.
DOSM,
Yeah.
DOSM, yeah?
Department of Stats.
Yep.
Our friends. Do we have friends here from Department of Stats? Yes.
Okay.
Puan,
Kita
can
ada, we have DOSM representative here, Puan Naza.
Puan Azhar, please. We need this.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. And maybe just would like to inform the floor. Yeah, for all of our household surveys, for surveys and censuses, we have data, gender disaggregated data.
Excellent.
Okay,
Excellent.
so for example, for a household income expenditure survey, Labour Force survey, there is the current population and housing census, as well as for our ICT household. And we also have produced a special report for women, statistics on women empowerment for selected domains. And we have worked on also on business ownership for women. And we also have like marriage and divorces, 14 years of work, and we have just published since 2018. So there's a lot of work there just to produce the statistics on marriage and divorces. And then we also have the SDGs, so we have the indicators for women. So for those kind of data, you can get the data from us. We can produce the gender disaggregated data.
All right, thank you very much, because this is so important for decision making, for policies and so on. So we need to.
We have representative from Kementerian Wanita here. All right. So may I have your response, please? Feedback from both of you.
Actually, we are from the Jabatan Pembangunan Wanita.
Okay, fine.
So basically, for the up capacity, the last one, capacity building and upscaling women, we are doing a program called Young Women Boot Camp. That one is specifically for the university students or students who have already, finished the SPM and waiting for the results. So what we actually cater in this course is basically we are teaching them the leadership quality skills, and then the entrepreneurship skills, and also we have like how they are going to sell their self in the outside world in order to get a job for them. So basically we are doing this kind of course for them. Apart from that, we have a program called PAC-B. It's PAC-B. The full form is a Pusat Aktiviti Cakna Bangun Economy. So the intention of the course is basically to help the people like B40, the one in the PPR and so on, to groom themselves and involve in the entrepreneurship skills. So that's the basic idea of it. So for the part of the, just now we have the gender, what we call? The gender equality.
Just hold on a second. Based on the information, so maybe we can date a little under the economy, right there. Okay, because that either number 7 or also as number 8.
Number 8,
That
PAC-B, P-A-C-B-E.
Yeah, because it's Cakna,
Cakna.
kan? Yes. So it's a C there. All right. Okay, what was it again? The program for the in the B40 category just now?
B40 category. The one, the entrepreneurship skills under the PAC-B.
So number 7, no?
Number 7, yep.
Okay. So we can add that also, JPW.
But this one, usually the kumpulan SASA, we will reach out through the Pejabat Pembangunan Negeri. So all the courses will be done by them. So HQ just monitor them.
Okay.
So for the gender stereotyping, the first one, gender equality, I think there's a representative from the KPWKM itself here. Maybe they can answer for that one.
What about under the number 5?
Number 5.
Is that more under Kementerian base or?
That one Kementerian, the KPWKM itself.
Okay, all right. Yes, under the DASA. So do we have anybody who could comment on that?
Thank you.
30% of them must be of women, but it's of course it is also it's because it's a state list, so they have to hang on to it. Like we can only motivate and influence them from time to time. If they have, we're going to give them better marks in terms of star rating. So we are already like making them involved in this, and they know about it. It's just a matter of whether they take it up. Usually, when there are more men in the assembly, I can say, of course, the decision would not siding to women to take part. I mean, more of them to be in the ahli majlis membership lah. But then again, at the KPKT level, under YB Zuraida, we are calling all PBTs to come up with 30% of the ahli majlis PBT to be of a woman. Yeah. So that one, it's okay for us to fight for. But there's no way that we can make them, but influence and motivate.
We would like to have more feedback from anyone from the government agencies here.
Let me see. What about the safe shared streets and gender responsive city? This one definitely just now with the discussion given earlier by Puan Noraini, that would help a lot in terms of helping putting up programs and so on. Yeah, I think we have.
Would you like to say something?
Okay.
Yeah, salam. I'm Khairiat Alha. I'm an urban planner.
Okay.
I'm representing the Malaysian Institute of Planners. Yes, I brought this up in the pre-event discussion. Yeah, this one we will need definitely KPKT action. Yeah, actions by KPKT, that is Kementerian Perumahan dan Kerajaan Tempatan, because many of these all the local governments are under KPKT except for KL and the other wilayah persekutuan. So the other ministry we need also is to coordinate with Ministry of Works, because many of the road designs and all that are under Ministry of Works, as well as level crossings for ladies and elder ladies, in fact for families, where we have traffic light crossings and all that which are not catered for women, and with our prams and all that, because most of the crossings are like a few seconds only. We cannot cross in time. So that's KPKT, JKR, the Kementerian Perumahan, and also public transportation under the Ministry of Transportation. These needs to be working together and not in silos in catering for women, especially in urban areas, and they are all contributing towards the physical assets of the cities. Yeah, our physical environment. That need to cater for women and the family.
Okay, along that line, because we also have about 80 other participants here in the virtual platform. So there are a couple of feedback that deals directly with the issue of space. Okay, so promoting shared responsibility might also include KKKM. The note here, we keep seeing movies, series where caregivers are usually women. So under, KKKM, yeah? And then there is another one, similar to the note, but this is with regards to universal design. To what extent can universal design can really, can be taken up, especially by knowledgeable contractors. So, Puan, I see you are smiling. Maybe you want to share something there.
Universal design is part of the design techniques, right? It's incorporated in all our design building codes. So when you mention Ministry of Works, that takes care of the contractors under CIDB, under JKR. We mentioned about MOT, Ministry of Transportation. They should incorporate, as well as KPKT. Universal design is just a tool under that. So architects, planners, engineers, you name it, should actually incorporate this into the urban environment.
Yeah, because the comment was also, if it's not properly done, then we are actually wasting a lot of
budget. I brought this up also in the next forum when we had the pre-event on the age-friendly city.
Okay,
yeah,
excellent.
Which comes after this, yes.
Okay, so can we put back the diagram here? I just want to make sure that we are touching everything. Yeah, the only thing we have not touched is actually number 5. Women not represented at executive and legislative level. This is more in terms of DASAR. In our pre-lab and in the lab discussion, we actually also tried to maybe tap into the election commission, having them put in some possibilities, regulations and so on with regards to women's participation in politics through political parties. This can be done. It's difficult, but that is one particular commission that can look into this particular matter. Sri. Okay. Yes.
Sorry. My name is Lisa. I'm from my watch, Malaysian Women Action on Tobacco Control. But I also see that women at work, because I remember last time when we had this panel, this forum, and they all set up women in building industries management, right? We have a team of the architects, the town planners, engineers, everybody coming under one roof to create, so that whenever they do the planning, it comes under women and child safe cities, right? So I hope that can be incorporated in there when you talk about town planning and all that. So that should be adopted, yeah? No, because I was with Women at Work and we set up the panel. I'm with Women. No, I'm not here, not the Women at Work panel, but I also sit Women at Work. But we initiated that Women in Building Industries Management, WIBM, something like that. So it consisted of architects, town planners, engineers, everybody in the building industries. And they were supposed to actually advocate women and child-friendly cities, women, child, and disabled-friendly citizens. It's a friendly city lah, at the end of the day. So this is, I hope that is actually put into practice. Jangan cakap kosong. You know? Because I before that when I said women, we used to meet up with them. I remember we had people from PAM, from everybody, from all the various sitting under one roof. The ladies sitting under one roof. Yeah.
This is important, knowing the different organizations which while we have heard from the different ministries and agencies, it is important also for us to find out who might be working from different organizations, yeah, the NGOs right in the grassroots that we're looking at. But I think, Suri, do you have?
I do have a quick comment on when it comes to women and 30% representation. Because women in decision making is so closely linked to paternity leave, yeah, in the corporate sector, so Ministry of Human Resource might be really key in that, because seeing more women in decision making is actually, there's a super close link between paternity leave, not just maternity leave, but paternity leave, because men taking paternity leave frees up women's time to pursue and go back to work. And that's why it's so important that this gets incorporated, but not just in terms of policy, but also in terms of adoption, right? Because in a lot of countries where they introduce paternity leave, it's not taken up by men because there's still so much social stigma about taking on paternity leave, right? Or you're whipped, you're not prioritizing your work over your family, all of these different things. So men are usually reluctant. So along with that, has to come with this campaign or some sort of awareness building to encourage men to actually take up paternity leave, so that it frees up women to actually go back to work and focus on their careers as well. Absolutely. I think the big caveat in that is that if men and women are home, it's still women who usually end up doing the care work, right? So we need to make sure that men actually take up that burden.
Okay. I think let's give a few more, few rounds. Okay. Okay. Think City. Okay. Yes, please.
Hi, Aish from Think City. I think for us, where we can link is with number 6 and 7 particularly. Number 6 in terms of data collection on women's perspectives on safety, and also the other thing that we're working on is nature-based climate adaptation program, and looking at women's perspectives from in terms of how they're impacted by climate conditions and stuff. So that's where Think City may be able to play a role. For number 7, what a lot of the discussion has been about women and PPRs really echoes with one of the projects that we're working on, and also that's something that we're interested in linking. We don't have much information, but we're definitely interested in continuing that discussion.
Okay, so that could be added a bit more under number 7, yeah? Yeah, put up.
Any other agencies would like to join in the discussion? Perhaps
Or
NGOs?
even other NGOs.
The one behind you, Dato'. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm Iza from Women Girls. Coincidentally, we do work closely with under number 7, mompreneurs. We do have a program called Ibu Nakoda Hidup, which targets specifically moms who are entrepreneurs and who are conducting businesses from their home. So we work closely with them in upskilling and also having them, giving them the tools to probably upscale their businesses beyond just their homes. And also on top of that, we do work with like school leavers or women, young women who are not certified. They are school dropouts or they don't have any SPM or college degrees, who are finding it difficult to find jobs. So under our program called Kerja Kerja, so I think that will resonate really, really well with them. Yeah, Kerja Kerja. You chase for the job, but like we help them with the skills like resume building, you know, the how do you call it, like simple makeover lah to their look and how to attend it. It might seem simple, but they might not know it. It's not common sense to them. So I think it resonates really closely with number 7, and we're happy to work with anyone who's interested.
So Penang Women's Development Corporation, PWDC, based in Penang. Our work is around 3 and 4. There are other pillars that we're working on too, but in this area of 3 and 4, we have many years of experience and expertise in this. So we'll work with other agencies.
Don't worry about the lead yet. At this point, we'll just list some. Okay, don't worry about the word lead. Yeah. Yes, please. We have.
Okay. My name is Fatin Farhana. Mewakili Persatuan Penduduk Seksyen 6 Shah Alam. Saya nak komen berkenaan dengan infrastruktur kawasan kami.
Okay.
So
Number 6
Yes.
Okay.
So berdasarkan keadaan semasa, saya merasakan kami kekurangan kawasan untuk privasi sebagai seorang wanita. So macam pertama keadaan space area yang kalau kita nak buat kebun pun orang lalu lalang, nampak kita buat kebun tak selesa. Kalau rumah pula jaraknya pun agak padat. Jadi privasi sebagai wanita tu kuranglah kat situ.
It's an issue that we take note of.
Okay. Ia pun berkait dengan keluasan rumah kos murah the physical space. Kadang-kadang what we see is the houses are too small, and then it also doesn't actually take into consideration having children who are actually boys and girls, whether they should be in the same house, same room. I think this is also, can we make recommendation in terms of the physical space? Okay, and gender? Would you like to say something?
So for gender specifically, where we can be included is for number 3, where we look at gender responsive and participatory budgeting. So as of last year, we have started a gender lens on the budget roundtable, and we hope to really start a whole cycle and process whereby we will also build the capacity of those in civil society who do give recommendations, and how we can improve that and strategize better. And that will then, inform each budget annually, in addition to our sort of audit of the budget that comes out. Yeah, and besides that, sorry, can I just have a look? Wait, I might have it here. For I think number 7, with looking at women in low-cost housing, so we do have a project with B40 families. It's just a pilot initiative at this point, but it's called Project Tiada Keluarga Ketinggalan, right? So under the ambit of SDGs, we should leave no one behind. And for this, you can also put gender under, and we can discuss further for anyone. Yeah.
Okay, we have some feedback from the male counterpart. Okay, yes. Would you like to say something?
parking space for the actually in the shopping mall or in public space allocate for the women and ladies. Yeah, actually we have no problem for it. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. How about coaches for women? Are you okay with that? Rasanya okay tak? Kita naik komuter ada coach khas untuk wanita. Rasa okey ke atau rasa semua-semuanya untuk wanita saja ke macam mana?
I have no problem with that. I have no problem with the ongoing female coaches only. So yeah. Should we have more? It depends on the budget.
All right,
Okay.
I think there are a couple more comments I'd just like to share from our virtual platform. Just give me 1 minute there. Number one, both are under the economic cluster. Yeah. Number one would be something on digital literacy. So especially now under COVID, we know that we do have to work within the household a lot, and our children have to go to school online and so on. So to what extent do we have the access to digital services and literacy? So I think that could go also under number 8, yeah, capacity building. So maybe we can add a note there under digital literacy. And one last one is on is there an existing protection for parents having to take sudden leave when their child shows COVID symptoms and forced to leave school for the day? Okay, this has a few implications. It could be gender stereotyping in terms of care. It could also be under the economic cluster because it impacts the kind of work that you do. So these are issues that have been brought up just to share with us here. So, infrastructure in Sarawak. Okay, we have our colleagues from Sarawak and Sabah online right now also, yeah? Infrastructure in Sarawak, especially in rural areas, make it impossible for women, especially homemakers, to participate in any online programs. Okay, so that's a question of the connectivity. The infrastructure of connectivity. Yeah, your internet services and so on. We cannot assume everybody has it because we don't. All right, so the kids are still having problems in schools and so on.
Datuk Rashila,
yes.
if we can add on that use of technology for those in the Sabah and Sarawak, I think good initiative now being done by MDEC and also MIDEC. So we can also put that as part of the leading organisation to assist more women to be on board in terms of using technology. And we have Sri.
Let's get Sri. We've got 5 more minutes, so please.
I think still on the connectivity and also physical, it links between the physical infrastructure and the women's ability to work also. So the economic and the physical infrastructure on the point of connectivity. We hear a lot about Selangor Free, Selangor, Penang, Selangor connectivity and all that, but the connectivity is not strong at the, for people who live in the poor area. So I think that is something that, you know, if you really want to empower women and the general public, you know, so during this pandemic, for example, mothers still need to think about the children who are not able to do things online because the cost of data, the connectivity. So beberapa negeri kata ada free itu free ni, tapi bila you tengok the free itu, dia punya connectivity tak connect langsung, terutama kat kawasan orang yang perlukan data dan connectivity.
So memang akan ada yang ketinggalan.
You have to
Yeah.
women.
Yeah. Okay.
We have our representative from KPWKM behind you, Datuk.
I do.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Serena, sekejap Okay.
Hello, Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Nur Adibah. Okay, currently Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development is working closely with UNDP, where we are now in the stage of implementing capacity building to other ministries and agencies. This is where gender focal point is appointed in every agencies and ministry to support gender mainstreaming efforts there. MOF is also assisting in ensuring gender analysis in preparing budget.
MOF. Yeah. Awesome. So I put you under 1, yes, and also budget, number
1 and 3. Yeah, this
maybe
is
I'm going to put you on top because if you are going to apportion money, then you better be here.
Yeah, that would be very important.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to add, may I, over here?
Yes, Shirley.
Oh, sorry. KFP the PKM, right? I wish to mohon activate back the Perwani. Remember last time, Dato Sri Rohani? Yeah, Perwani is very good because it is very empower women and a lot of activity from the Perwani. You know the Perwani is actually from the Ministry of Kementerian Wanita. Yeah, Perwani.
Yeah, can I interject and add just a little bit more? I know time is up. Just on the advocacy for 30% women representation.
Yes.
I would like to add that even at community level, at Joint Management Corporation, as well as Majlis Perwakilan Penduduk (MPP), because these are politically appointed. So currently, they are mainly men because of the of the pocket money they get. So we must make sure there's at least 30%, including GMB. I happen to be, I was on the board of advisors for DBKL, so in fact, we find that most of the MPP are men. So you got to get them. So even at community level, not just executive and legislative.
It's true. All is across the board, actually. Dr. Shahir, do you have something to say about the 30%?
It's about the 30%. Again, when we discuss about this, I'm just wondering about the punca kuasa. I mean, where can we bring this up, okay, in terms of political will itself? And also, when it comes to, I would like to talk about 30%. I think we've been talking about this for like 20 years, okay, or more. All right, so here I really hope that we can actually do something like what local government is doing, like giving stars and so forth. So maybe in terms of, I'm not sure, in terms of a political party, it seems to be like SPR is not, if you look at Sabah, what happened to Sabah elections and so forth. So maybe we can actually set up something that suggests on the, like what local government is doing. So maybe we can start with this lah, with the local government. So who owns that? Actually, if it's not SPR, then who? For political, do we know?
I mean, in terms of 30%, we just say it's 30%, right? But who we can only encourage how to actually make it happen, and instead of just encourage, I mean,
Not necessarily to answer your question, but at the end of the day, and thank you Adiba for sharing about the focal points. We know that the focal points have been appointed many years ago, but we also know from our monitoring that there's a long way to go as well. So when you ask me who's the Puncak Kuasa, we have actually Kementerian Wanita that's mandated to actually lead this as a lead agency, to make sure that the issues or gender issues are on the table. When you say gender, it's also paternity. Paternity is a gender. We also worry about the lelaki. So the lead agency is the one that really has that power and the mandate to make sure that these issues are on the table, whether it's at the budget, whether it's at the low-cost housing, whether it's at the infrastructure, but how is it gender responsive? So I think that one we are so happy that you're here today and that you'll continue to also work with us to actualize this.
Professor Sheila, I just may add a little bit. I know time of an essence, just on number 6. Just I think just a little bit more that because it's a physical infrastructure. Plan Malaysia actually is incorporating this gender also on gender lens into all its guidelines of planning and development. So we are support Plan Malaysia is an agency under the ministry. Plan Malaysia, PLAN Malaysia. So actually I just would like to add and support that we are supporting the ministries, KPKT actually, that through this enhancement and incorporating the guidelines towards a gender, a more conclusive kind of urban development. Just to add that, to support the ministry through Plan Malaysia as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Actually, it cross-cuts. If you really think about it, you know, in terms of policy, it can be in politics, what kind of policy for the environment, what kind of space do you want to have, what kind of house. Depends on how you structure this. Environment can actually cross-cut whatever sectors that we have here. That's one way to think about it. But I think that has to be discussed further, probably at the urbanist level. Yes. Right. True. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Environment, yeah.
Right.
She's a single mother and she stayed and actually all my single mothers all over home Malaysia. And that's the single mother told me that I'm a single mother and I have children and I need a house. I can't pay the rental. The rental outside is so expensive. And she come and ask me, can I get PPR? So this I think maybe our Kementerian Pemerintah and our KPKT should have a deal. See how to help this single mother because the husband left her, and with 5 children. You think of that? How can she survive? So I say, how can I? So how do I encourage her? I say, go to church. Church will help you. Most of the church members are very good. They help her. You know, this is what I can.
Can I add on?
We only have like 3 minutes left.
Yes, I want to add on something. Saya nak cakap berkenaan pendidikan. So mungkin sekarang ni agak kurang sikit pendedahan tentang penjagaan diri sebagai seorang wanita. I cakap based on golongan B40. Sebab macam masa zaman sekolah ada akan macam konteks atau libres datang bagi tahu tentang penjagaan sekian-sekian. Nowadays tak ada benda tu. So nowadays student pun banyak yang tak dapat macam masih kurang lah tentang penjagaan diri sendiri sebagai seorang perempuan. Even though I ex asrama pun isu-isu tu asrama sangat tak pandai jaga diri. So I think pendidikan perlu ditambah untuk pendedahan pada golongan muda dan golongan B40.
Alright, thank you. One last point. Do we have time, Suri? One last point. One.
Okay, speak super fast. Hi, I'm from Women of Will. Doesn't really fit from 1 to 7 or 1 to 8, but often in our work with B40 women, we work with a lot of women who are single moms, but because they are ibu tinggal, so they're not ibu tunggal, so the husbands have left them, so they actually have no proper legal status, and because of that, they're discriminated and left out from a lot of aid. So if there's any way we can campaign for them or actually status, that would be really fantastic. But again, as I said, I'm not quite sure where we put that in. Thank you.
Number 1. We'll put it under 1, status for Ibu Tunggal, okay? Tinggal.
Ibu tinggal. Yeah, still married. Yes. Okay. Before that, wow, now everybody is really all heated up to speak, and this is when I have to stop everything. This is terrible.
Okay, cepat cakap.
Okay, please put KPKT over there, number 7. Okay, I think just before that, I think I have KPW, and then we'll finish with Kementerian Wanita.
Countdown 1 minute.
Assalamualaikum and a very good, let's say, afternoon or evening now. So basically what I want to bring about is the first thing that we're thinking about is education, right? But then when you're talking about gender equality education, I'm not that young, but yeah, for the younger generation, media is more important. Sometimes you learn more on Twitter, you learn more on YouTube, especially now with COVID-19, most of them are at home. School ain't exactly the first thing that they go to. So I think media is something like MCMC, media is somewhere they would actually look for info. So instead of just MOE and MOHE. So maybe push them there as well. So thank you.
Time's up.
I put dah.
10 seconds.
Just now we talked about the
Okay,
environmental
hi everyone.
and gender, right?
My name is Catherine. I'm from Vanguards for Change, which is a youth-led NGO. But what I can see from here is one of the social issues which I feel need to be highlighted is number 3, mental health of women. I think that is something very important because that also contributes to the way as mothers how you are at home and how you are at work.
No, she's a youth.
Okay, all right. Now, last word on that side before.
For Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development, we did have a pilot project with Ministry of Sports and Youth, KBS, where they work together with us for gender mainstream project. We collaborate with UNDP, and in the future time, we're going to have KASA, Kementerian Alam Sekitar dan Air, Ministry of Environmental and Water. They will work together with us for gender mainstream project as well. So that is where we will place the gender focal point in the agencies.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for the sharing. Yeah. So I hope you captured all of that just now on this computer. Yeah, KASA ya, tolong masuk Zat.
Kasa dekat social lah kan?
Yeah. So friends, thank you so much. I'm going to be able to send it back to Suri because we have to move to the next segment. Program.
Yes,
thank you.
thank you,
Appreciate all your
facilitators. This
feedback.
was a fantastic feedback session. We have 20 minutes. This is the last sprint, so let's see if we can get this done, and it's going to be quite rushed. I am forewarning you. I'm handing it over to Omna from Engender to lead us on the formation of the Women's Council
Committee.
That they are doing a gender focal. That's how they are going to start the gender focal. So basically, you
Can
will
we
all-
have that?
yes,
Can we
will
have
all-
that
all
back
the
here again?
Blah blah blah.
The
To go
slides?
inside there and where's the gender point of view? Where's the gender?
Right.
Yes.
I was just sharing with the lady sitting next to me that we should have started the countdown much earlier. Then everybody will speak at once. Okay, but how exciting, and thanks so much to Norlisa and the team for putting this together. What we are really excited about is really what we're going to do after this. And I don't know about the other groups, but our group is all set to form this committee of sorts, or really a women's assembly moving forward, right? And I think we have already identified, it's fantastic to see the government agencies actually in a way nominating yourselves. I think that's important, and thank you so much to Kementerian Wanita and a few other agencies for here, KPKT of course, and for demanding your space there, right? But I think in terms of the CSOs, apart from the ones who are here, can you raise your hands if you're with the CSO? Just raise your hands if you are with a CSO. Yan, you're from a CSO. NGO, CSO, and CSO gives you a broader scope, right? So I'm just wondering, would you also like to see, at least just to show interest, but would you like to see your names here as well, those who have not already? Yes. Can you just shout out, then they will put in your name.
Tell us which number? 7.
Yeah.
Where there's like 5 million, okay? Women
All right.
of will.
UKM at number 7.
UKM number 7. WAO number 2, yes, we know. We work together with WAO on gender responsive budgeting.
Where is that number? 7.
Now, just shout it out, yeah? Did
Pertubuhan
you say something?
Usahawan Wanita Millennium Malaysia. Millennium.
Yeah.
What is millennium?
Yeah.
Millennium.
Yes.
Pertubuhan Wanita Millennium Malaysia.
Yeah, okay.
Wanita Usahawan.
7, DBKL is it? DBKL number 7.
Pertubuhan Usahawan Wanita.
Let's see whether Yuan is
1
capturing
second,
something.
1 second.
Yeah.
Wanita Millennium. What is millennium? Millennium.
Right.
Okay.
Just 1 second, so let Yuan
Okay,
catch up.
what
So
else? What is
DBKL number 7.
Okay. DBKL.
Yes, from my watch. Lisa. Number 1, my watch, is it?
7.
MKKM. But are you volunteering them? Okay, so it's okay. Sure. MKKM For number 2 and then my watch there. Okay, all right.
I think you can put NCWO.
Yeah.
Under number 8 and maybe number 3. Yeah. Not lead, but work that they have been doing.
NCWO and number 8.
NCWO under number 8.
Right.
Because there are a lot of capacity building programs going right there. And I think either number 3 on the budget, because a lot of budget consultation is being done by NCWO.
I agree.
Yeah, so maybe those two at this point.
Yeah.
Biona, you can. Okay.
Yeah, should be okay. Should be okay. So again, this is just the beginning, right? So let's see how we move it from here. Sorry, who was saying something?
Nobody's championing 30%, please.
Yes.
Yeah, siapakah? MKKM.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so Vanguards for Change for number 8. Number 8. Vanguards for Change. VOC. If there's another. Yeah, I know. Okay. All right. Okay, lest we all speak at once. Yes, last one. Yes.
Okay.
Think City. So that's number 5. Number 5, only 18. Yes. Very good. Lots of women there. Yeah.
Undi.
All right. Yes. Oh, okay. So she'll type it out now.
Sorry.
Yeah. All right. So so we've got the lookings of a committee to move this forward, and I think can we say that we'll come back to everyone, let you all know in about a month's time. To see how we've moved forward. I think the committee we have a working group right now. The working group will sit and deliberate on this, and then we will reach out to those organizations that have volunteered. Okay, so can we raise your hands in support for what we are going to do?
Okay, round table.
Right hands in support and say that next year we are going to push the needle, shift the needle to ensure that gender equality really in Malaysia lives up to its name of being a catalyst and an accelerator towards achieving the SDGs.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, last round.
Thank you, Omna. All right, last sprint.
Last round.
I would like to invite, I'm so sorry, we're so short on time, and I'm really trying to squeeze everyone in here. I would like to invite Dr. Siti Muazzah from Bagian Dasar, KPKT, to do a summary and maybe share inputs. To be able to do that? Yes. Well, Datuk Zuraida was supposed to be our discussant, but that is not happening, which gave us a little bit more time. So it's all on you, Precious.
Thank you so much, dear. All right, on behalf of YB Zuraida, actually, I'm very happy to have this group, talking about women and where we're going forward after this. We really want to have this session, this Women Assembly, as a catalyst to push more on women agenda in the government framework and in all aspects of organizations. To say in every agenda of organizations in Malaysia. But what I'm concerned is the governance. I heard that you all have the groups working on it, but I really need to know that it really works because this agenda of women has been here for a long time, but we have never been feeling satisfied about it and what is wrong with it. We need to know what is another strength that we have to grab onto, which will make things happen and actually happen successfully. I do hope we don't end only here, but we will meet in another session that will detail down the way to work, because in the government, if you have just sit down without report, without having meetups, and finally say it out to the right people, to the extent of even the Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri sendiri, which is to me is the ultimate, that will help. But of course, at the end of the day, the whole thing belongs to Kementerian Wanita to fight. But we as kalau kata ketua kepada jawatan kuasa tu, you really have to move it and give your fullest commitment. Alright? on the side of YB Zuraida, I believe she will be very happy to hear that we are very active today and we have given input. I know Puan Nurliza was trying to tell me about 171, but 171 is a big issue. I do not want to commit yet. But believe me, as I am still in KPKT, on my side, anything that I can induce with women agenda, we will do. So, yeah. Even so, at current, we have so many programs that we look into women. Cuma lepas ni will be stronger. And I do hope from your side too, I mean, you all have been doing all this work very well and successfully, but I do hope in the future we can actually achieve more and make, how would I say that is, when I see any mothers kat tepi jalanan, I say, what do you think being a woman at the B40 side? What do you think? Oh, I'm feeling very proud. I feel very powerful. I feel very empowered. Ini yang saya nak tengok dia punya outcome. As in, so far they don't do that. I talk in front of the women of the B40s, they're just the quiet person, but inside them, there's so much strength inside that we fail to tap. We fail to make them move forward. And it's time for us to empower the weak and recognize the strong. So this is the time. So please, ladies, and even gentlemen, help us. It's not about kita nak minta simpati, tolonglah kita, we are women, the weak ones. No, it's about what we can give, what we can make impact towards, the impacts that women can do to help the economy, to help the environment, to whatever all that we have gariskan tadi. Please, give your all out, because we are the ones who will determine. The men will not do that. They have the tendency to help, but they're not going to be the lead. So it is us. On behalf of KPKT, I do hope that this session is a successful one, and of course, the agenda of SDG MUF2020 is to make whatever that we have planned actually acted upon and really implement it and give us a timeline. I don't know, ERSCO or KPD, I don't know who, a timeline so that we can work by the timeline. Kalau kita dah sampai bila, we do not know what we will achieve. Please come up with the right kind of, I think you have this, so then we can check ourselves. What's the stock take, where would we be, and what we want to be, and whether we actually achieve in 2030, and that's it. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you, Dr. Siti. To finally close us off, I would like to invite Sri Husnaini from the UN Habitat Advisory Group, and who's also the Senior Policy Advisor for the Wairu Commission.
Thank you very much. Definitely, Suri. Terima kasih kepada opportunity untuk saya bagi cakap as a closing. I think this is very empowering. Dr. Siti, your commitment from the ministry on behalf of the ministry is actually assuring. Kita dengar all those things, the action plan, and then we have the committee. So it's not just action dekat awang-awangan, tapi action yang akan jadi. Also, Puan Liza mentioned, because we are talking about implementation and what we want to see in the next Malaysian Urban Forum, and also to report at the World Urban Forum next year. Because World Urban Forum next year is World Urban Forum 12, which is in Poland. Whether it's going to be a hybrid in person or in person and virtual, we don't know yet, because of this pandemic. But definitely this is one of the strongest women assembly at the national level, because all National Urban Forum are the women assembly. And this is one of the strongest one with very concrete, action plan. Action plan, we want to make sure that you report on progress. Bukan saja isu-isu lagi next one, Kita dah buat 2 tahun berturut-turut isu-isu. Sekarang the progress. Puan Liza's idea about having a position paper, I think is very good. It's very commendable. And if you can make that happen. And with that also, I think the issue of budget, overall budget. I think the mentality of putting women issues with the women ministry, kita kena buka minda kita sikit juga. It does not have to be only
the women ministry pushing for it, but overall ministry to also push and support. And maybe when you already have this committee, you can make a presentation to the EPU, you know, about the agenda from to make sure that we have what we call the sustainable nation, the sustainable urban nation by 2030, which is very inclusive and put women at the forefront. So women is not just what you call that beneficiaries, you know, but we are agent of change. We are partner in development, and I think all of you are there. I also want to comment about GBV, gender-based violence. I think this is also the year that kalau mana yang tidak mengikuti perkembangan pembangunan wanita mungkin lupa adanya Beijing Platform of Action. So the Beijing Platform of Action this year celebrates 25 years of Beijing Platform of Action, and we are supposed to review that. And I think Kementerian Wanita ada bagi report tentang achievement daripada Malaysia. So with that also there is a platform called the Action Coalition, the Generation Equality Forum Action Coalition. Action Coalition tu ada banyak thematic. One of them is gender-based violence, and they're looking at gender-based violence, not just domestic violence, but also violence in cities and public spaces. And I think when we're talking about urban, we need to go beyond also the domestic, which is something that we are not going to leave behind, but we have to remember that, but add on to the fact that gender-based violence in urban area and public spaces. Yeah? And we are calling from the Action Coalition for Gender-Based Violence also that the issue of GBV is beyond also women ministry, but into transformative policy and resource allocation. Yeah? So, So with that, congratulations to this group, and congratulations to the launch of the Women Assembly Committee, the first one beside the world level. So I'll make sure that you all will be part of the planning for the Women Assembly at the global level. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you, Sri. Okay, I need everyone to pay attention to Yasmin. She will direct us to the photo. We have exactly 2 minutes before the next session comes in here, and we're shooed out of our space.